Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening everyone. Hi, long time no see. Hi, hi all. Oh lupa pula. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dah bagi salam ke belum? Sabar je lah. Okay, so now it's 9:02. Okay, so let's start straight away sebab kita ada dalam 3 soalan macam tu. So, kita start awal, nanti kita boleh habis awal sikit. Okay? Walaupun tak sure lah betul ke boleh habis awal ke tak. Okay, so lecture 3 out of 3. Okay, so this is still in partial fraction. So the learning outcome, we should be able to solve, we should be able to find the partial fraction for a quadratic factor ax squared plus bx plus c that cannot be factorized. So we are referring to our denominator. So this time we have a quadratic factor in our denominator which cannot be factorized. If we can factorize them, then it might be either the case with distinct linear or might be the case with repeated linear. But since we cannot factorize them, that is a quadratic that cannot be factorized. Okay, so the second learning outcome is that we want to change the rational polynomial to proper fraction when the degree of the numerator is the same or more than of the denominator and then determine the partial fraction. So now this time we have an improper fraction. So before this we only do something with proper fraction, but now we are going to do something with improper fraction. And then for the improper fraction, we're going to change it into proper fraction first before we do our partial fraction. Okay, so let us do a bit of recap. So we have two types of fraction. We can have a proper fraction and something called the improper fraction. So for the proper fraction, the numerator, the degree for our numerator should be less than our denominator. So sebelah atas power dia kena rendah daripada bawah. Then we're gonna call them as proper fraction. Otherwise, we're gonna call them as improper. So that means either the degree for the numerator is equal to the denominator or the degree for our numerator is greater than our denominator. So either equal or greater than, those are called as improper. And then we have two types of factor in our denominator. So either you have a linear factor or you might have something with a quadratic factor. If let's say you have some cubic function, that means you should be able to factorize them first and then categorize into either linear or quadratic factor. Okay, so linear factor, you might have distinct linear or repeated linear. If you have a quadratic factor, you might factorize them or it might cannot be factorized. So kalau boleh factorize, dia boleh jadi yang linear ni balik lah. Either distinct or repeated. Otherwise, this is the case that we're going to try to solve, which is the case where the quadratic factor cannot be factorized. And then this is the other case that we are going to solve them today, where the fraction is improper. Okay, so we got to do long division first to change it into proper fraction before we can proceed with partial fraction. Banyak tu perkataan fraction ni. Okay, next. Okay, so type 3, denominator with quadratic factors that cannot be factorized. Okay, so for example, we got 7x plus 10 over x minus 2, x squared plus 7x plus 3. So this thing, we cannot factorize them completely. So that is why this is a quadratic factor that cannot be factorized. Okay, so this is basically a linear. So we are going to write down them with a constant. So those are the terms that cannot be factorized. Hence, we're going to write down something over x minus 2, something over x squared plus 7x plus 3. But since this is simply a linear, we are going to write down some constant. So better to use a then. So this one, this is a quadratic that cannot be factorized. So that means we have to write down some linear function for them, bx plus c. Okay, so now I already separate them into two. The next step, so this is the first step, we separate them into two fractions. The second step, where we need to have a common denominator. So do you guys remember last time what did I told you to calculate or to find out what should be multiplied with a? So I told you guys to take this denominator and then divide with the denominator for a. So in this case, we have x minus 2 multiply with x squared plus 7x plus 3, and then we divide with x minus 2. So what we are left with x squared plus 7x plus 3. So a will be times with x squared plus 7x plus 3. Meanwhile, for this one, do make sure to write a bracket for them first. And then what do we have is x minus 2, x squared plus 7x plus 3, and then over with x squared plus 7x plus 3. And then simply delete these two, and we are left with x minus 2. So that means for bx plus c, I will need to multiply them with x minus 2. For a, I will times them with x squared plus 7x plus 3. So that is my second step. So first step, separate into two fractions. Second step, make sure we have a common denominator. Okay, so now let us go to the example expressed as the partial fraction. Tadi just bagi tahu step sajalah. So sekarang kita go to example. Okay, so 3 over x plus 2, x squared plus 1. And then another one is 4x plus 1 over x plus 1, x squared plus 5x plus 1. Okay, so now let us see this one, x plus 2. So this is a linear. X squared plus 1, you can actually check using your calculator, or you should be able to guess that this is actually a quadratic that cannot be factorized. So every time you have a quadratic, do make sure whether can you factorize them or not. So how to know? Simply plug in into your calculator. Masuk je lah dalam calculator, and then we're gonna check can we factorize them or not. If you get something with I, that means you cannot factorize them. If you have something with point, that I mean in the point tu maksudnya macam irrational number lah. So kalau irrational number cannot lah. Rational boleh. Okay, so let us try to express A as the partial fraction. Okay, so now x plus 2 is simply a linear. So we are supposed to have some constant over x plus 2 and then bx plus c over x squared plus 1, because this is a quadratic that cannot be factorized. Okay, so now let us change into a common denominator. Like I told you before, take the denominator on the left hand side and then you divide with this. As you can see, we are left with x squared plus 1. So a will be times with x squared plus 1. Meanwhile, for bx plus c, don't forget, write them down inside a bracket first. And then take x plus 2, x squared plus 1, divide with x squared plus 1. So that means bx plus c will be times with x plus 2. So the first step, we separate into two fractions. Second step, we need to have a common denominator. Okay, So A will be times with x squared plus 1, bx plus c will be times with x plus 2, and then so for this one, I compare the second step as well as the third step, where once we have a common denominator, I can easily compare the numerator. So 3 is equal to A multiply with x squared plus 1 plus bx plus c multiply with x plus 2. So first step, separate them into two fractions. The second step, we need to have a common denominator. The third step, we compare our numerator. So compare bahagian atas lah sebab pembawah dia dah sama. Okay, so now we need to calculate what is the value of A, what is the value of B, what is the value of C. So you actually have two methods for that. You can either use substitution or you can use comparing coefficient. So nak guna substitution boleh, nak guna comparing coefficient boleh. Either one will work just fine. So for the fourth step, we got to solve them. So you can either use substitution or you can use comparing coefficient. So either one. So in this case, I'm using some substitution. So I'm letting x equal to -2 because my aim is to make sure this x plus 2 will become 0. So substitute with x equal to -2. I will be left with a times with 5 plus, so b times -2 plus c. So I times them with 0. So anything multiply with 0 is always 0. So this is 0. So I will be left with a times with 5 equal to 3, which will simply give me a equal to 3 over 5. Okay, so basically you can substitute another two value, calculate what is the value of B and calculate what is the value of C. So should I give you a few minutes for you to try to calculate them first? Or give you around 3 minutes for you to see what is the value of B and C. So saya bagi 3 minit sebab asyik saya kira je kan, kesian kalau awak tak kira-kira. So better for you to try them on. So substitute any value of x and then you can easily calculate what is the value of B and C. Kalau dah siap nanti bagi tahu Oh, by the way, welcome untuk orang yang baru datang. Hi. Okay, dah siap bagi tahu Miss tak sabar. Annoying gila benda tu. Dapat lah. Kau tak dapat lagi. Okay, so I'll give you one hint. Because I can see some of you get stuck over here. So I'll give you one hint. Okay, so B is times with X, right? So better for you to use X equal to 0. So try to use substitution with X equal to 0. B equal to 4 over 3, C equal to 5 over 2. Orang lain dapat sama? Sama ke? Saya tak kata salah, saya tanya je. Orang lain dapat tak? A 3 over 5, B negative 3 over 5, C 6 over 5, B negative 9 over 10. Wah, semua berbeza. Mana satu yang betul? Tapi daripada 3 tu dia ada satu lah yang betul. Banyak mazhab. 3 over 5, negative 3 over 5, 6 over 5. C, 3 over 2. Okay, so now, right, so I think the reason why you guys are having different value most likely is because of your bx plus c. You are supposed to write them down with some bracket. So ada setengah orang dia tak tulis dalam bentuk bracket. So that is the reason why. Another one, I think the problem is with this x. Sometimes you didn't square them first. So make sure to square them first before you plus with 1 and then times them with a. And another reason why I think some of you get them wrong is perhaps because the value for the a is something with a fraction. So do be extra careful when you guys are dealing with some fraction. Okay, so now I can see some answer over there. Ada yang nak cuba lagi? Nanti tak boleh tidur malam ni, tak bagi jawapan. Kot lah kan, sekejap malam nanti kan tidur. Oh, ruginya tak bagi jawapan dalam kelas tadi. In case you want to write down your answer. Don't worry, I couldn't see you anyway, so you can easily write down your answer. Okay, so anyone else? I count until 10, okay? And then later on, I'll give you some answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now I'll give you the answer. So the correct answer is with Khairina and Hui. Yang tu answer dia betul. Yang lain, cuba lagi Okay, so now substitute with x equal to 0. You are going to get kenapa a dia times with 0? 0 plus 1 actually. 0 plus 1. I miss out the 1. Can you please add them? So 0 plus 1, b times with 0 plus with c. Okay, so what do we have over here? Is c equal to 6 over 5. Yang ni nanti tuan tambah Okay, and then I substitute with another value, x equal to 1. Okay, so what do we have is 3 equal to a, 2 plus with b plus c times with 3. Therefore, it will give us the value for p, which is negative 3 over 5. So, most likely kalau salah tu saya rasa masih dekat sini lah. Dia ada problem sikit. Okay, so now once you have the value for the a, the b and the c, so simply substitute. Okay, so we are going to have 3 over x plus 2, x squared plus 1 equal to 3 over 5 over x plus 2, negative 3x over 5 plus 6 over 5 over x squared plus 1. But this one doesn't look very nice, doesn't look very beautiful because over here we got something with a fraction. So dalam maths biasanya kita kena tulis cantik-cantik lah. Okay, so since I don't see this as a pretty number, so better to bring this one down. So let us bring them down. So it will become 3 over 5 x plus 2. And then I change the place a little bit to 6 minus 3x over 5 x squared plus 1. Tersilap tambah tolak. Tak apa. Don't say sorry, it's nothing actually. Tak apa je. Masa belajar biasalah tu. Okay, next, let us see B. Okay, so B, we have 4x plus 1 over x plus 1, x squared plus 5x plus 1. Okay, so x plus 1 is simply a linear, so A over x plus 1, x squared plus bx plus c, so this is a quadratic that cannot be factorized, so we cannot factorize them completely. So that's the reason why we are having bx plus c up here. And then we need to have a common denominator. So this is the first step, you separate them into two fractions. So first step. The second step, you need to have a common denominator. And then the third step, you need to compare your numerator. Okay, so again, to check what happens if you divide this denominator with this denominator. So divide this with x plus 1. What will be left? Those will be times with a. Meanwhile, for bx plus c, don't forget to write down some bracket because we need to multiply with the whole bx plus c later on. So x plus 1, x squared plus 5x plus 1, divide them with x squared plus 5x plus 1. Obviously, you should be able to see that we are going to times them with x plus 1. Okay, so this step, you have a common denominator. So this is the second step. The third step, we simply compare our numerator. So we got 4x plus 1 equal to a x squared plus 5x plus 1 plus bx plus c times with x plus 1. Okay, so this is the third step where we simply compare our numerator. So now the fourth step, again, you can either use substitution or you can use comparing coefficient. So substitution or comparing coefficient. Okay, so for me, I normally prefer to use substitution. So since I'm having something with x plus 1, so normally the first number that I will try is x equal to negative 1. So once I substitute with x equal to negative 1, this one will become 0. So that means bx plus c will be times with 0. And then another number that I might try is x equal to 0. So that when I times them with b, I'm going to get 0. And then for another number, I might try to use any other number other than 0 and negative 1, of course, in order to know what is the value of c. Okay, so now I think I should give you guys some time. Sebab tadi kesian kan tak dapat kan. So kita dalam maths kita kena berusaha sampai kita dapat. Usaha tangga kejayaan. Do your best. Practice makes perfect. Apa lagi? Okay, so now I'll give you some time. So try to calculate what is the value of A, what is the value of B, and what is the value of C. So go ahead. I think I'll give you around 5 minutes for you to calculate the value of A, B, and C. And then you can write down what do you have as your answer. And then let me see whether banyak yang betul ke banyak yang salah. Okay, so 5 minutes starting from now. A equal to 1, B equal to -1, C equal to 0. Oh, semua dapat lebih kurang je. Bukan lebih kurang, sama. Sama je lah. Okay, so I think that's fine. So let us see then. Do you get them right or wrong? Right, I do feel that answer is right, but never mind. Okay, so when x is equal to -1, what do we have is -3 equal to a 1 minus 5 plus 1 plus bx plus c times with 0. So this one is actually not bx, this one should be -b plus c times with 0. And of course, this one is automatically 0 because we simply times them with 0. Okay, so the value of a is simply equal to 1. So cuba check balik lah, tambah tolak. Cuba tengok betul tak? Especially when we times with some negative number. Do check. And one more thing to keep in mind is that whenever you multiply them with 0, always make sure that multiplying anything with 0, it is always 0. So hilangkan benda tu siap-siap. So a is equal to 1. So the value for the b and the c, so substitute with x equal to 0, you are going to get c equal to 0. And then when you substitute with x equal to 1, you are going to get that b is actually equal to -1. Hence, therefore, this is the fraction that you get at the end. For x plus 1 over x plus 1, x squared plus 5x plus 1 is simply 1 over x plus 1 minus x over x squared plus 5x plus 1. So C tak ada lah sebab C kosong. So tambah kosong nanti. Okay, so kebanyakannya dah dapat betul. So tahniah. Untuk yang tak dapat betul tu, I do feel that you might need to practice your algebra a lot. So most of the time, if you couldn't answer them, most likely because of your algebra. So algebra tu kurang cekap sikit sebab kadang-kadang masa kita darab ke, masa kita tambah ke, dia macam tersalah lagi. So do practice a lot. Do this question again. So lepas dah habis lecture ni, do make sure to try this question again. Then do check, can you get the answer or not? If you still couldn't get them, then text me your solution so that I can see kat mana yang salah. Okay, next. So this is for the case for improper fractions. The improper fraction, if given that px over qx, where the degree of px is greater than the degree of qx, so either greater than the degree of qx or the degree for px is equal to the degree of qx, then we are going to divide the denominator into the numerator to obtain the sum of a polynomial and a proper fraction. So if let's say we have px over qx, we are going to get some polynomial over here plus with a proper fraction. So this is polynomial, this is a proper fraction. So the thing that we are going to do partial fraction is this one. Okay, so for example, let's say we have x cubed plus 1 over x minus 1. So this one, you expand them first. So this is x squared minus x. And then x cubed plus 1 over x squared minus x. So you do the long division for them. You are going to get x plus 1 plus x plus 1 over x minus 1. So this is the thing that we are going to do partial fraction. So those are the polynomial. And that is the proper fraction. So we only do partial fraction ataupun pecahan setara. So partial fraction, we only do them for proper fraction. Hanya proper fraction saja kita akan buat partial fraction. Okay, so now let us go to example 2. Express 3x squared plus 5x minus 2 over x plus 3 in partial fractions. So do check first what is the degree of your numerator and the degree for your denominator. So the highest degree for our numerator is 2. The degree for our denominator is also x squared, so this is 2 as well. So the power is the same, that means this is an improper fraction. Okay, so since we know this is improper, so we got to do long division first. So do the long division for this. So do the long division then. Divide them very carefully. So we got x squared plus 3x over here. 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. So x squared times with what in order to get 3x squared? So obviously x squared will be times with 3. So x squared times with 3, it will become 3x squared. 3x times with 3, so it will become 9x. And then simply minus them. So what do you have is 3x squared minus 3x squared, so 0 then. 5x minus 9x, so it will become negative 4x, negative 2. So now write them down in terms of the polynomial plus with the proper fraction. Kena sebut elok sikit, sebab kita salah. Okay, so 3x squared plus 5x minus 2 over x plus 3. So this is actually equal to 3 minus, so I put the negative outside, so I simply factorize the negative out. So that means we will be left with 4x plus 2 over x plus 3. So this is the term that we are going to do partial fraction. Okay, so now we only consider 4x plus 2 over x plus 3. So kita tengok yang proper tu saja dan kita buat buat partial fraction. Okay, so now let us do the partial fraction for them. So I got x is a linear, x plus 3, so this is also a linear. So both of them are not similar. We are having something called the distinct linear, two different linear function. Okay, so consider 4x plus 2 over x plus 3. So it will become a constant over x plus a constant over x plus 3. So why do we have a constant? Because both of them are linear. So bila dia linear, kita akan letak constant. We only use a quadratic factor. We only use a linear factor, a linear on top of, or a linear in our numerator whenever we have a quadratic that cannot be factorized in our denominator. So kalau quadratic tu tak boleh factorize, ya kita pakai linear. Kalau tidak, semua kita pakai constant. Okay, so now the first step, you separate them into two fractions and then do make sure to change it so that we have a common denominator. And then don't forget the third step, you should compare your numerator. So 4x plus 2 equal to a, x plus 3 plus with bx. So this is the third step. Okay, so first step, separate into two fractions. Second step, make sure we have a common denominator. Third step, simply compare your numerator. And then you can do the fourth step. Either you use substitution or you can use comparing coefficient. So dia ada dua nombor je, pakai comparing coefficient pun boleh. Kalau nak lah. Okay, so let me see what do I prepare over here. Okay, so I'm using some substitution for this one. So when x is equal to 0, we will have a equal to 2 over 3. And then let us use another substitution. I think another one will be x equal to negative 3. So that when I substitute them here, it will become 0. So when x is equal to negative 3, the p will be 10 over 3. Therefore, 3x squared plus 5x minus 2 over x plus 3 is actually equal to 3 minus, so this is the value of a, 2 over 3x plus 10 over 3x plus 3. So that is actually our partial fraction. So masa last kali kita kena tulis lah yang polinomial dekat sini ni. Jangan tertinggal lah, jangan terlupa. So once you have the value of A and the value of B, you should go back and substitute. Dekat first step tu, substitute balik. And then go back to bx over dx equal to qx plus rx over dx, and then gantikan lah dalam tu. Okay semua orang, hopefully that is not confusing. It will be similar to what we have done previously, except that now we have one extra step called the long division. But this one, we only do them if we have improper fraction. So pastikan before you do your partial fraction, check first. Is it proper or is it improper? Only for improper, we are going to do long division. Otherwise, you can straight away proceed to partial fraction. Miss, macam mana boleh jadi 4x plus 2? So, previously, I factorised the negative. Sekejap saya tunjuk yang sebelum ni. So over here, this is negative 4x negative 2. So I simply factorize negative outside. So it will become 4x plus 2. So that is the reason why you are having a negative outside here. So the negative of 4x plus 2 over x plus 3. Of course, you can choose to use positive. So nak guna positive pun boleh juga. So this is another one. You can actually use 3 plus and then negative 4x negative 2 over x plus 3. That is also fine. It's not wrong. Sama je lah. Benda yang sama. Boleh Amirul Mukmin? Okey tak? Oh lupa lah. Google Meet dia dengar suara ni. Tak ada suara. Okay? Tak okay? Oh, okay. Right. Okay, so now I think I should give you some time to practice. So another example then. So express x cubed minus x minus 5 over x plus 2, x squared plus 1. Okay, so first, check, is it proper or improper? Okay, so how to know? Check what is the highest power in your numerator and check what is the highest power in your denominator. So check first. Okay, so the highest power for my numerator, the highest power here is x cubed. So the degree is 3. For over here, for my denominator, we should try to expand first. So we are going to get something with x cubed. So again, I have something similar, or the power is the same for my numerator and my denominator. Therefore, this is actually the case for improper fraction. So improper fraction, there is only one way to solve them. You got to do long division first. Otherwise, we cannot do our partial fraction. So do make sure to do the long division first. So saya bagi tempoh dalam 2 minit untuk buat long division, boleh? Saya guide sikit lah. I'll guide you a little bit. So do make sure to expand them and then do the long division first. Because we need to make sure we can easily write them down as some polynomial plus with a proper fraction. So do the long division first. So saya bagi sampai 9.50 lah. Beria nak ambil awal. Last lama juga. Taklah saya punya try sikit. So macam bosan buat seorang-seorang. Oh, by the way, semua orang sihat ke? Where are you guys right now? Di rumah kah? Di sini kah? Alhamdulillah sihat. Oh, dah 51 dah. Balik pula. Okay, so now let us see what do you get after long division. Okay, so expand them very, very carefully and then do the long division for it. And then you should be able to get negative 2x squared, negative 2x, negative 7. Okay, so write them down in terms of the polynomial plus with the proper fraction. So we got x cubed minus x minus 5 over x plus 2 x squared plus 1 equal to 1 minus. So this is the similar case with what I did previously. So I simply factorize the negative outside first. So this is minus 2x squared plus with 2x plus with 7 over x plus 2 x squared plus 1. So now we should do the partial fraction only for the proper one. Okay, so we're going to take this one and then we are going to do partial fraction for them. So x plus 2, so this is actually a linear function. So x squared plus 1, we should check first, can we factorize them completely or not? So x squared plus 1, you should be able to realize, right, from now, x squared plus 1, this is actually a quadratic that cannot be factorized. Since you cannot factorize them, on top of them, you should write down some linear function. Okay, so now, separate them into two. So we got a over x plus 2 plus bx plus c over x squared plus 1. And again, put some bracket for bx plus c over x squared plus 1. Right, so now again saya bagi masa lagi. Ada yang tak dapat lagi kan? Ada yang masih mencuba untuk mencari nilai A, B and C. Okay, so this is the first step where I separate them into two fractions. Second step, do make sure you have a common denominator. Third step, do make sure to compare your numerator. So yang ni samakan bawah, compare yang atas. And then the fourth step, you should solve them by either using substitution or by using comparing coefficient. Okay, so I'll give you 5 minutes until 10 o'clock and then I'll discuss the solution with you. If you already have the solution, you can write down your solution first and then I'll see them later. Cuba ya semua orang. Pastikan cuba. Because in polynomial, we have to try them on our own. I can give you the answer, but the skill to deal with the skill to deal with the algebra. Oh, payahnya nak terang malam-malam ni. To deal with the algebra, you have to try them on your own to get the feel. Sebab benda macam tu dia kena sendiri. Dia datang dengan practice. Cuba. Tak dapat tak apa. Never give up. Try again. You can do it. Go. Siapa yang tak dapat tadi, go. You can do it. Try lagi. A 11/5. C apa tu? 12/5, B negative 1/5. 11/5, 1/5, 12/5. So Dira dengan Irina lebih kurang Lebih kurang cuma bezanya plus dengan minus je kan untuk B tu. Tak apa, mari kita check ada orang lain. Oh, makin lama yang tidur je ni. Wake up, wake up. It's only 10 o'clock. Wake up, wake up. 11/5, negative 1/5, 12/5. Ni nampak lebih kurang. So, is B positive 1/5 or negative 1/5? (11/5), negative 1/5, 12/5. Negative 1/5. Oh, semua dapat sama lah. Okay, let's go. Okay, so this one, I combine the second step and the third step. So combine them together. So I simply compare my numerator. And then I substitute when x equal to negative 2. And then I do get that A is equal to 11/5. So most of you got them right over there. And then when x equal to 0, so we got C equal to 12/5. Oh, lagi sekali. Semua orang betul kat situ. X equal to 1. So the value of B is negative 1/5. So tanya, siapa yang tulis jawapan tu, tanya. Semua betul. So boleh buat sini lah. Tanya berjaya akhirnya. Okay, next. Okay, so that means x cubed minus x minus 5 over x plus 2. X squared plus 1 is 1 minus. So the A is 11/5, x plus 2 plus. So the B is negative 1/5. So that is the reason why we are having negative 1 over here. So negative 1 x over 5 plus with 12/5. So I simply bring the 5 down. So 12 minus x over 5, x squared plus with 1. Okay, so this is the final answer. So 1 minus 11/5, x plus 2 minus 12 minus x over 5, x squared plus 1. And I think this is the last example for this lecture. Yep, I'm right. Okay, so that means that's it for lecture 6.3. So that means this is the last lecture for chapter 6. So this coming Tuesday, we are going to start with a new chapter, chapter 7, called the trigonometric function. So we are going to learn how to find the basic angle for sine, cos, and tangent, and then basically recap a few numbers for the basic angle and etc. Okay, so I'll see you guys this Tuesday. Thank you, class. Good night. Have a good sleep. Bye-bye, everyone. So, boleh tidur dah. Habis dah kelas.